Hi, I'm Janet Neal. I'm the founder and queen bee at the Superbwoman Incorporated. I'm so glad that you've joined us. This show, Superbwoman Sundays at 7, is all about bringing you real life examples of superb women, women who are comfortable in their own skin, who have taken the time to be themselves, to understand what that means, to align with their values, their purpose, their goals, their pleasures, and as a result, are living wonderful, powerful, successful lives. These are superb women. I know what it means to be a superwoman. I tried that. I call myself a reformed superwoman because superwoman is a term that serves no one. It only results in burnout, frustration, and doesn't advance anything or anyone. And so I believe that we need to advance a new term, superb woman. It's all about the bee. And what better way to understand what that really means than to see living, breathing examples of superb women? And that is why I started this show, to bring that to you, to my audience, so that you can see what a superb woman is all about, how she has taken a journey to figure out who she is. It's a great, important, worthwhile journey. And once you do that, it's amazing what can happen. So sit back and relax and enjoy another interview with an amazing, superb woman. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, Carol Novello. Carol is with the Humane Society Silicon Valley. And Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Janet. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Now, let me tell you how Carol and I met. We met not long ago, sitting next to each other at a workshop, a writing workshop. And Carol had this idea that she was just pulling together that would benefit the Humane Society and change the conversation about pet rescue. And basically the theme was who rescues who. So if you are anywhere on social media, you may have seen this amazing video about Eric and Peety, about a gentleman who ends up rescuing a dog, and really the dog seems to be rescuing him. So that is Carol's. And I was so fortunate to be able to see a rough cut of it and to be a part of kind of the pre-launch of this. So Carol, tell us just a little bit, and we'll get back to that, but tell us a little bit about how well that's doing.
Yeah, it is really exciting. It has just exploded internationally. It was posted on SF Gate just a week ago. And during the last week on SF Gate alone, it's had 20 million views, 350,000 shares,
wow,
25,000 comments. And it has just really struck a chord with people. And we're so excited because we started with this premise that when you connect an animal with a person, you enrich two lives. But when you connect thousands of animals with thousands of people, you enrich an entire community. And the idea behind mutual rescue is actually when you connect millions of people with millions of animals, you're actually transforming communities all across the country. And so it's a really exciting time to see how people are responding to this, because it really validates the importance of how animals and people come together.
It's so fabulous. It's so true and so fabulous and so exciting. Whenever I see somebody on Facebook retweeting, posting it, it's really quite fun.
Yeah.
But Carol, you didn't start off doing this kind of work. I know when we had a conversation, you started off in the tech industry, and you were
I did.
Do it.
From software to animal rescues, and not a path that I had thought about in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
I've always loved animals. I grew up with animals, so always a huge part of my life. But I started in business. I have an MBA. Bounced around a couple places in my 20s, and then in my 30s landed at Intuit, and they're best known for Quicken and QuickBooks and TurboTax.
People know a lot this time of year.
Very important this time of year, absolutely. And Intuit is a fabulous company. I learned so much when I was there. I have the utmost respect for my whole experience there. I was there for over 10 years. I ran a number of different businesses for them while I was there. When I started at Intuit, it was 1996. It was just kind of the beginning of the internet. So lots of really fun and crazy projects working on when I was there. They were about 400 million in revenue when I started. When I left, they were 3 billion. Wow. And if I wanted to work for a $3 billion company, Intuit would be it. They're probably 5 or 6 billion now. That would be the company I'd want to work for because they're so amazing. Mm-hmm. But companies of that size, just the dynamics and what you do on a day-to-day basis are a lot different than a smaller organization. Yeah. So, I left to explore a number of different possibilities. I had some family things going on at the time. I took a little bit of time off. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought I was going to go back into high tech. Mm-hmm. But I just started networking without any kind of an agenda or idea exactly about what I was going to do. And I was actually introduced to a woman who was the chair of Humane Society Silicon Valley and ended up joining the board there just because I loved animals with no intent other than being on the board. Huh. And a few months into the board engagement, she and the current president at the time asked me, did I have any interest in actually running the organization? And I'd never thought about running a nonprofit. That it wasn't on my list, but ironically, I had developed a criteria. I had put together 10 criteria for what I was looking for in my next assignment, my next role. And when I looked...
Let me stop you there. You mean when you were at Intuit or when you were out looking for another job?
When I was out looking for another job.
Oh, okay.
I said, okay, how am I gonna evaluate opportunities as they come to me? Uh-huh. So I had this list of 10 criteria. So I looked at that list, and ironically, Humane Society Silicon Valley matched all 10 of the criteria.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I thought it might be another, 10 years until I gave back, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But such a great organization. We have this amazing state-of-the-art animal community center that opened in 2009. It's the first facility of its kind in the country that was specifically designed to bring animals and people together.
Oh, tell me a little bit more about that. How is that designed?
Yeah, so it's as I said, it's an animal community center. So when you go there, a lot of times people will say to me, oh, I can't possibly visit your shelter. It's going to be too sad. And it's right. Like, we're not really a shelter. We do have animals there, obviously. We have a huge shelter medicine program. We're really leading the country in kind of innovation around shelter medicine, but also leading in the idea that you want to create spaces that encourage animals and people to be together. And it's just a really happy place. People want to come back because people feel good when they come there and they know the animals are well taken care of. They know the animals are going to have a home. And it is really a pretty amazing place that the people in the community made possible because we're privately funded. And so we only are able to do the work that we do because people care about our work. And so I'm really grateful to the community for making it possible for us to create such a facility.
That's fabulous. So when somebody comes to visit your facility, what's that experience like? Take me through a typical experience.
Sure. Well, what's wonderful is the first thing is when you walk into the building, there is a lovely atrium. It's a circular atrium. And when the building was being built, we actually had a feng shui expert come in and she suggested that part of the building be round so that when you walk in, you actually want to feel like you're being hugged or encircled when you walk in. So there's just a lovely feeling to the building that when you walk in. But what you'll see is, the adoption suites the animals have their own adoption suites. They're like little condos. We have tons of volunteers who are there socializing the animals. Mm-hmm. We have fabulous staff that will take the time to get to know you and your lifestyle so that we can create a match that really is a good fit for you. Mm-hmm. And we have all kinds of programs for youth. During the summertime, you'll see summer camp. We've got kids running around all over the place. And it's a really happy, engaging place to be.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. I
Yeah,
can
it's pretty
see why it
exciting.
would be a place you would want to,
Place we wanted to create a place that people wanted to come to and
yeah.
feel good about, and be inspired to adopt, because they want to open their heart, because they want more joy and
Mhm.
more awe and wonder in their life, as
Yeah.
opposed to concentrating on, there certainly is a lot of sadness in animal rescue, and
Uh-huh.
I don't want to downplay that,
Right.
but we really kind of want to focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's so lovely, I think, about the work that we do and what the community enables us to do is that when animals come to us, we don't know exactly what their future looks like, but we know that they have one. And
Mm.
that's just something that inspires us, because we like to dream a little bit about what the future of that animal might look like and how that animal might transform
Excuse me.
the lives of the humans that they will get connected to. Yeah, well, I think the mutual rescue Eric and Peety story really speaks to the endless possibilities of what happens when you connect an animal and a person together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great, and for those of you who have not seen this amazing short film, we'll have a link at the end so that you can go and take a look at that.
Yeah, great.
So, Carol, you and your organization are doing amazing work. And I want to get back to you.
Okay.
You are, when we first met, I mean, it's very evident. I had mentioned this to you that there was something about your energy that you just really, you seem to me to be a person who is very comfortable in her own skin. And the more I get to know you, the more I know that you are. And that is my definition of a superb woman, is a woman who is comfortable in her own skin. And just your example that you talked about, that you went from, this job and then realized that it was time to make a change. And then I love that you did this list of the 10 things that you're
Yeah.
looking for. I think that, for anyone who's out there looking for a job, tell me how you went about trying to decide that. Well, how did you come up with these 10 things?
Yeah, I really looked at what kind of experience did I want to have?
Mm-hmm.
What did I want my day-to-day life to be like from a work perspective? And interestingly enough, money was not on there. And so, I made a decision that I wasn't going to let money drive my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, big picture things like wanting to have, I said a product or service that I, was fully believed in and could be committed to. And then that turned out to be a mission rather than a product or a service.
Right.
But then there were other things. And this one's kind of funny. One of the items on the list was that I could bring my dog to work.
Oh, that is funny.
And now I actually kind of realized that I didn't set my standard high enough, because really, if I was going to redefine that criteria, it would be having a job where having pet hair on my clothes actually increases my credibility rather than detracts from it. So, I didn't shoot high enough on that standard initially. I was actually able to exceed it with the Humane Society Silicon Valley job.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, that's great. So who helped you on your path, going, maybe, far back as you want to go, but I always say that we can't do this by ourselves. So who's somebody who's helped you on your path?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the best stories is how I ended up eventually getting out to the West Coast and working for Intuit. But it started when I met a gentleman on an airplane. And I was flying out to the San Francisco Bay Area and had a connection in Cincinnati. And I was in this mindset where I'm just going to talk. I'm going to make sure that I talk to whoever sits next to me. Like, I just had this in my head that I needed to do that.
Had you done that before? Is that new?
No, I had not.
Okay.
But that I was sitting in the airport, and I remember it very vividly. I remember the sweater that I was wearing, and I just had this sense that I was going to meet someone really important to my future, and that I was going to make sure that I talked to whoever sat next to me. So on the first leg of the flight, a man sat next to me, and I immediately struck up a conversation. I'm like, no, this isn't the guy. And then the next leg of the flight, this man got on the plane, And, I was kind of tired. And if I didn't have this idea in my head, I would have just slept through the flight. But I'm like, no, I'm going to make sure I talk to this person. And so I introduced myself and said, oh, you're flying for business or pleasure. And we struck up this conversation. And the really funny part of the equation was, it turns out he was a turnaround artist and he'd done a lot of work at General Electric. So he was this business person, really fascinating man. And so I asked him to explain a little bit more about what he did. And he told me, and I said, well, it doesn't really, I said that, that sounds pretty much like common sense. And he said, well, it doesn't take a Harvard MBA. And I said, well, that's really funny because I paid a lot of money to get mine. That kind of bums me out. And so we ended up talking nonstop across the country. And then he subsequently offered me a job. And I went to work for him, and I probably learned more from him in the year that I worked for him than all my years of experience combined. And then ultimately he suggested that I come out to the San Francisco Bay Area because there was so much activity and so much promise going on there. This is the mid-90s.
Wow.
And he really significantly shaped me as a leader and as a business person. And I still draw on a lot of the things that I learned from him today.
That's amazing. Wow. That is a great story.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So putting yourself out there, trusting that something was going to happen and then following through on it. Wow. That's fabulous.
Well, I think, one of the things I am actually an introvert by nature, and it's very easy as an introvert to just kind of stay in your own world.
Yeah.
And it is really important that for me personally, I know I have to remind myself every day, relationships are so important, and it's so easy to get distracted by all of the to-dos and all the tactics that you dismiss all that. But the world flourishes through thriving relationships with one another and with organizations. And we really need to, it speaks to what you do, because it's who are you being while you are doing. And that is just hugely important. Yeah. That's why you exist, Janet.
Yes.
To help everybody get that.
Just remind you. See, you already knew it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fabulous. So let's talk now about the shoulds, because, that's the other thing I talk about with Superbwoman that I've met, that they have recognized that the shoulds are the things that kind of contain the guilt and hold you back. So what about you? Is there a should that you've learned to let go of?
Well, I have to say, making the transition from for-profit to nonprofit was a really big jump for me because it wasn't planned. And so, I should just, people will often say to me, why, you gave up all of this, financial reward in high tech, and you should be pursuing the money. Mm-hmm. And it really came down to, what did I want my day-to-day life to look like, and not letting the shoulds rule my life. It's like, I'm not going to, I should follow the money. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually find a way to make a living at something that I really care about. Mm-hmm. And, timing, I had in my head that maybe I might do a nonprofit 10 years from now. So I should do it. I should do another high-tech stint before I go into nonprofit. I had to let go of that. Mm-hmm. And it's a little counter, especially to the Silicon Valley culture, to walk away from those things. Mm. But it absolutely was the right decision for me to do that, and to pursue something that I'm passionate about, and that puts my skills to use in a way that can really add a lot of value. Because I'm still an executive, and I still am dealing with people and money in the context of the work that I do. And it's kind of funny because some people will say to me sometimes, "Oh, your job must be so fun. You get to play with puppies and kittens all day." And there certainly is an element of that. We do have meetings where people are bottle feeding baby kittens. Wow. So that's part of our culture. Uh-huh. But that's not what we do all day. We still have to run an organization. So
right. Yeah. And how big an organization is it that you run?
We've got 100 employees. We've got 1,200 volunteers.
Oh my goodness.
We have 18,000 annual donors.
Wow.
We have all kinds of corporate partners and community partners. So there's a lot going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that is an organization. Well,
Yeah.
kudos to you for figuring that out, because there's so many women, and I say this all the time, that I believe that women are immensely powerful beings when we realize it. And it's
Yeah.
when you let go of that emphasis on the outside of yourself and
Yeah.
start with the emphasis on
Yeah.
the inside, in the
Yeah.
being first. So kudos to you for figuring that one out.
Well, it took a while, but I did eventually. Hopefully, the work that you're doing will help people recognize it sooner.
Yeah. Well, I think the work that all of us do,
Yeah.
and the more examples that we can put out there of women, well, not just women, but in particular from my viewpoint, anyone though, an example of someone who's doing amazing things because they've taken that time to figure
Yeah.
out what's important to them. I think
Yeah.
get more examples out there.
Yeah.
So what about gratitude, Carol? I mean, you kind of exude joy, and I have this inkling that gratitude is important to you.
It's hugely important. And it's very interesting because it is so easy to focus on all of the things that you don't have in your life,
Mm.
or the negative parts of your life. And I've really had to spend a lot of time. You just start small.
Yeah.
And even if it seems like the world is crashing down around you, what is the one thing that you can be fine to feel grateful for?
Mm.
Because what I've found is it actually builds on itself, that
Mm.
you need to experience the feeling of gratitude. And if you can experience the feeling of gratitude, even if it's for something minor, it enables you to start to focus on that feeling. And your life really does, whatever you focus on does grow. And
Mm-hmm.
it's fascinating. And I went through a really challenging breakup several years ago. And for a while, all I did was kind of focus on the pain. And one of the things that really got me past it was really becoming quite grateful for everything that relationship had brought into my life, including the fact that this man introduced me to the woman who was the chair of Humane Society Silicon Valley. I wouldn't be
Wow.
in the job that I'm in today if it wasn't for him.
Wow.
And his support during the first few years of my tenure as president there were hugely important to me, facing the various challenges that the organization was going through. So I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today and wouldn't be experiencing all of the things around mutual rescue if that man hadn't been such a big part of my life. So I've really chosen to focus on that rather than the fact that it might not have worked out the way I had originally hoped. And
Right.
that's a big difference in how you
Oh,
approach life.
that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. That is a great story.
Yeah.
So tell us what is next. So tell us about what's going on with, I know this Peety video was just kind of the first.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
Well, what's really exciting is that mutual rescue is actually a national initiative. And the whole idea behind it is to change the conversation from people or animals to people and animals.
Mm.
And so we are inviting people to tell us their story of mutual rescue, how they rescued an animal and how that animal rescued them. So we're inviting people to submit their stories, and you don't need to be a good writer. You could submit a video of you talking about it. You can fill out our little submission form. You can leave a voicemail and tell us about it. We're really just looking for the inspiration in the story. So no worries if you don't feel like you're a good writer. But if you go to www.mutualrescue.org, you can submit your story there. And so we'd love to hear that. We're going to be selecting 4 of the best stories to be made into short films, like the Mutual Rescue Eric and Peety story. So we'd love to be able to have your viewers tell whether they have a mutual rescue story of their own, or to tell others to submit theirs. So we're really looking forward to that. And what's wonderful about this initiative is, there's a couple of goals for it in terms of telling these stories.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is that we want to encourage people to adopt shelter animals. And
Right.
what's wonderful is that so many people have told us they have gone out and they've adopted an animal because they saw Mutual Rescue Eric and Peety. So
Really?
that's exciting.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah, so that's first and foremost. We want to be saving lives and encouraging people to go out and adopt from their local shelter or rescue group.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is to elevate the cause of animal rescue. So of the $358 billion that was given to charity in the United States in 2014, less than 1% went to animal-related causes.
Wow.
And we really want to help spread the word so that people know when you're giving to an animal cause, you're giving to people too. I sometimes, hear people say that, they apologize. Oh, I feel badly. I'm supporting animals. I'm not supporting people. But they're very intertwined. So we want people to know that they are related and that you can give to animal rescue knowing that it will also benefit humans. And the last thing is that a lot of people think that humane societies are related to one another. And in fact, they are not.
I thought I'm guilty on that one.
Yeah, most people do. And so, the Humane Society of the United States does wonderful work. They're focused a lot on legislation and advocacy, which we definitely need. But if you want to be rescuing and saving animals in your own backyard, we really want to encourage people to be supporting their local animal shelters, their local rescue groups. Humane Society of Silicon Valley, we're a privately funded organization, and we're only able to do the work that we do because of individuals in the community that donate to us. We don't receive any funding from the Humane Society of the United States, and it's really important that people have clarity around the causes they're giving to and how those funds get used.
That is really important. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I know, did you say you were going to have a book come out also about these stories?
We're working on a mutual rescue book as well. So, again, the more of these stories that we can tell, the more we can inspire people to go out and adopt rescue animals and to support their local shelters and rescue groups. So yeah, so plans are in the work for our mutual rescue book as well, in addition to the films that will be coming out in as a result of the current process for people to submit stories.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else going on, or does that you might have a few things on your plate there?
Well, we've got all kinds of great initiatives going on at Humane Society Silicon Valley as well. We're just continuing to do hands-on rescue work, which we're really excited about. And we're also focused on becoming the first shelter in the country to meet the standards of the Association of Shelter Veterinarians. So we're really excited about that. It's a great initiative. There is no shelter in the country today that meets those standards. And we're on a path that we hope we will be the first in the country to do that, so that we can really show what's possible in terms of not only the quality of care for animals, but what that means in terms of the ability to save lives. Because when you're really efficient and effective at saving lives, you can save more lives. Yeah. And that's really what we're all about.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So Carol, if people want to get involved, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. First and foremost, submit a story to mutualrescue.org. We'd love to hear it. Secondly, if you're interested in learning more about Humane Society Silicon Valley, you can visit our website. But in general, for wherever you are, I encourage you to adopt, volunteer, or donate with your local shelter and rescue groups in your area. There's just a lot of opportunity. Encourage people to foster. That is a great way. If you're not ready as well to adopt an animal, so many shelters and rescue groups need foster parents. And that's a great way to have an experience where you don't have to commit committing to an animal is a big deal, and people need to take that seriously and not, they need to think through what that means. But if you're looking for more of a test or a pilot, being a foster parent is a great way to do that.
That's a great suggestion. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, Carol, I am so glad that we've been able to connect here and get your message out as well. So let's just make sure that at the end here, people take a look at the slide. I'll have the information about Carol. and her organization, and make sure that people, really follow their hearts like Carol did. And if it makes sense for you to adopt a pet, dog or cat, do you have other things besides dogs or cats?
We primarily focus on dogs and cats. We do have rabbits. We have pocket pets. Right now, we just helped out a rescue group that got an influx of rats. And believe it or not, rats make fabulous pets.
I've heard.
There's a lot of preconceptions about them, but they're incredibly smart and intelligent and can really be great pets. So that's primarily what we focus on because we're a reflection of our community.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is Humane Society Silicon Valley was actually founded in 1929, and we started as a retirement home for horses that worked in the orchards here in Silicon Valley. So it used to be a very agricultural part of the state, and so we've evolved as the community has evolved around us.
Well, both of our dogs stayed quiet through this whole thing.
That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's kind of a miracle.
Yeah. And no cats walked across. I was waiting for a cat to make their way across the screen too. That didn't happen either. So
that's okay. Well, Carol, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, Janet, it was my pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right. You take care. And come again next week to see another amazing Superb Woman story on Superb Woman Sundays at 7.